Hey, what is happening, Cowboys Nation? First of all, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Little extra added bonus with that win over the Giants, 28-20. We all know it
Absolutely.
wasn't that close. It
It
wasn't
was not.
it was not 28-20, but they had to even it up for Vegas or something of that nature.
So many people like text me furious at me because it's my fault, but because I'm a
Right.
Cowboys fan, but
Yeah.
furious at me that they lost money because the Cowboys didn't, because they were what, 9.5 point favorites
Yeah.
and they had
Yeah.
it, and then they let that score and they won by 8. Even if Maher would have made that field goal, they would have won, but it just
Right.
all went downhill.
Preventative defense.
Oh,
What
I
can we
hate it.
say?
But yeah, people were furious at me, and I was
Right.
like, "Man, hey, I'm happy we won."
Exactly. And it just seems like it's been forever since this has been the longest week. Well, we did the show on Wednesday, so it's been a little extra with that. And it just seems like it's been a while since we've played a game. And, here we've got 3 more days, but it was a much needed break that we had some Cowboys that have been sick. We've got some that are banged up, and having this extra like mini bye
Yeah,
is really going to benefit them.
yeah, no, definitely. But I really like the background you going. I know it's real, like I know, but it's looking
Well,
nice.
this
Well,
this is
that's
on
a
the
TV.
TV, but
Yeah,
the tree we got going on. But we're in full. It's December 1st. We get to be in full Christmas mode now. It's within the limits of
it's
acceptance.
it is within the limits. My kids were asking me Christmas songs and Christmas decorations, and I was like, the day after Thanksgiving, and sure enough, that morning they were like, "Can we put up the tree?" And I was like,
Right.
"Oh my goodness."
You promised him. Come on,
I did.
Dad.
I did.
Yeah. Um. So the Giants game start off a little slow. We're a little sluggish. Wasn't out of the
Yeah,
gates. Let's get this done.
it it was, and the same thing happened with them the first time we met them. We started
Right.
off a little slow. You know, Dak wasn't his. Dak was okay in the first half, except for 2 passes.
Right.
Um, One, on the sideline, they thought they had a free play. Unfortunately,
Right. But
it
did not.
if you don't know what exactly happened on that play, watch the Cowboys. The Cowboys go up there and they try to draw people off sides. And if it doesn't work, then Dak will sometimes change the play and he'll be communicating, trying to change the play to everybody and everything like that. But if it works, all Biotish does is Biotish snaps the ball. And that lets Dak know, hey, somebody was offsides. You have a
Right.
free play. And that's what happened. Biotish snapped the ball. Dak said, oh, he snapped it. I have a free play.
Mm-hmm.
Gallup and him were not on the same page because he threw a comeback and Gallup kept going up. And it turned out to be an interception. And it wasn't a free play, unfortunately, because I guess they said the guy got back. And there's also my opinion, but questionable. He got both feet in bounds on that interception. So,
I'm with
but
you on
that
that
just might
one.
be about Cowboys bias. Some people say, but whatever.
Yeah. We can have a little bit.
Right? Yeah.
We're entitled for a little bit. But definitely came out the second half, took care of business. I mean, pretty
Absolutely.
much had it
Looked
sealed
really
up
sharp.
before the fourth quarter even began.
Looked really
Um,
sharp in the second half, and just really the tight ends went off. Three tight
right.
end touchdowns in the second half. Just ended up being a good game overall.
Right. And I will forever love the whack-a-mole with the tight ends.
That was great.
It
Also, the
was.
fact that they weren't gonna do it, but Dak told them like, "Hey, we got people that'll cover your fine."
Yeah, that we got some guys with some paychecks that can cover it. And so yeah, I was all for that. It was fantastic.
Yes.
So, I mean, it seems like it's been a while. I'm not sure if we need to go through much more. Who was this? Tell me who was a standout to you in that game, offensively and defensively.
Yeah. Offensively, I have to go with Ezekiel Elliott. I think
Mm-hmm.
Ezekiel Elliott looked the best he's looked all year. He looked explosive. He looked, like, I mean, he wasn't explosive 2016 explosive. Like
Right.
there's a couple runs there that he had where in 2016 he probably makes a house call. but still he looked explosive off getting the ball. He made some really good cuts to get into some holes that you didn't think he was going to be able to make, that he hasn't been making. And against a good run defense, a very stout defensive line, he looked fresh and he looked good. So on offense, Ezekiel Elliott. On defense, I'm sorry, Cam, I'm gonna take him.
You are.
It's LVE. It's LVE. Like,
right?
he played so good. He
good.
Crashed the hole. He made it. Yes, on the first touchdown drive by the Giants, yes, they scored. But on the play right before they scored, he came crashing in and immediately hit him for the loss, tackle for loss. Great play. The best play of the game defensively, in my opinion, and there was a lot of good defensive plays, was on a 3rd and 2, and Barkley slipped out of the backfield for a short catch and tried to take it, and he caught him, tackled him for a 1-yard gain, 4th and 1. They went for it on 4th and 1. Daniel Jones had a bad throw, and Barkley dropped it. And that was right after the Cowboys went up 14-13. So it was a huge play on defense. Got the ball back. They went back and scored. I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry, but
no.
LVE,
I love it when you talk about my football husband.
LVE played great. So that's
right.
Zeke and LVE are my guys.
Yeah. And those were basically my two. Also want to shout out to CeeDee Lamb. Those were some big guy catches once again. I think that he's really coming into his own as the season's happening, and I think it was a lot for him to shoulder, that he might have to be wide receiver 1, and the pressure of it, and then with Rush coming in and not having that sequence with Dak to continue on with. But I've got to shout out to CD, and you took my answer. I mean, because it was clear who it was during that game. I mean, he was stellar. He stood out, and he's the answer.
Yeah, and me and Stevie talked about it earlier this week on the Tuesday show, the Due Diligence show, when I filled in, and basically you could say Micah Parsons, but you could say Micah Parsons every game, just about. So he's become that status where we know Micah Parsons, who else? So if anybody's out there what about Micah Parsons? It's kind of like that. It's we know Micah Parsons balled out. We know that.
Yeah. So let's talk. We've had some action happen. We had on Tuesday, when Tuesdays are normally somewhat boring, we had some news, and it was when Mr. Basham was gonna be released. And not only did he get released, he cleared waivers, which is, I think, a little shocking.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised he cleared waivers. I don't think he signed with anybody yet either, to a practice squad or anything like that. It kind of makes me wonder, how bad was his injury? I know he just got back from injury. Right. It kind of makes me wonder what his injury status is, if people are worried about it or not. I don't know it, so I'm not going to speculate and say, oh, it is his injury. I'm just kind of my thought process. And then it sounds like that move was made to be able to bring Takk McKinley up, and they're kind of the same player. So it's an interesting decision.
Yeah. They're kind of the same player in that way. And Takk is definitely, I'm sure, I think you're right. I think it has something to do with the injury. And I think Dan Quinn, we know the Cowboys wanted Takk. We know Dan Quinn loved him because he drafted him. He definitely addresses this run defense and the stop on it.
He's got to set the edge.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I mean, kudos to Dan Quinn for going and getting his guy back that he loves, who looks like a monster. That
guy is a physical specimen.
Right.
Whether he's lived up to his draft status or not, that guy is a physical specimen. When, they talk about Brian Broaddus talks about it all the time. When you go on the road and you get off the bus, you want that scary guy to get off the bus first to kind of set the tone. He's the guy that should be coming off the bus.
Right.
He is just a physical specimen.
Maybe have Hankins right after him.
Right.
But so and I mean, I love the fact that Dan Quinn is addressing, because for years we've had an issue and it's like they just beat their head against the wall and they didn't do anything to make it better. And what we've seen in the last couple of weeks with bringing Hankins in and having signing Tack, Dan Quinn is making the moves to make sure that we can go into postseason.
Yeah, look at Quinn said it after the Packers game. People were really worried about the run game. Chicago ran all over us, and the Packers ran all over us, and people were really worried about it. And Dan Quinn said, "Look, we have the personnel. We know we can make the right decisions to stop this, and it's just about doing it." And I think that it's kind of come true. We played much better against the run against the Vikings. And I know we got them out of run situations. Yeah, that's part of doing that. And then we played much better against the run against the Giants. And then we have another big game coming up against another good running back who they're a run first team. So we'll see what they do there. But I think Dan Quinn has done a really good job of addressing the issue and saying, look, there's nothing we can do outside this team right now. But we have the personnel and we feel like we can stop it. And I think they've done a good job.
Yeah, and they absolutely had to, because if you look at it, they're running the gauntlet of running backs through the rest of this season. And I honestly think that we probably could have been absolutely destroyed if they hadn't addressed this. So big kudos to them. So we also had a little other news that they did elevate Washington off of the IR. And so we have 21 days to see him come back.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking for anything massive out of him. I'm looking for him to maybe fill in the Noah Brown production that Noah just hasn't had, that we saw earlier with Rush and everything like that. Maybe we see something like that with Washington. But so we've got the 21 days to see Washington get back onto the squad.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think they opened up the window to give him some flexibility with the whole OBJ situation. I think OBJ is scheduled to visit on Monday, correct?
Monday. Yeah, Monday. It's Monday. Yeah, he's in Buffalo right now.
He's in Buffalo.
Jerry, send in some barbecue for them for lunch.
Right. Buffalo's
just
confident.
A little barbecue for them.
Right. Buffalo is confident in signing him. Von Miller has said multiple times that their whole plan is to never let him leave, which is the best thing you can do when you're trying to sign somebody. They're going to
have to find some money, though. They've only got $180,000 in cap space.
They need to move some stuff around, yeah.
Right, and I don't know if Vaughn is giving up some of that money or what's going on, but
I think I think Jerry has stated multiple times that they're staying in contact.
Yes.
And I think that the whole deal with that is Jerry saying, look, give us a shot. I know you're going to other places, but at least come to Dallas and hear our pitch. Like,
what's the weather in Buffalo?
It's like in the 40s.
Oh, I wanted it colder.
Yeah, it would have been better if it was a lot colder. But that's still cold.
That's cold.
So we'll see what happens with him this weekend. Hopefully he leaves Buffalo. He comes down to Dallas at least for a visit. But I think they're with the Washington thing is they're keeping their options open, saying, hey, if OBJ does go to and sign with Buffalo.
Right.
Then, okay, we've opened the window for James Washington and he can come back in.
Yeah.
Now, if we sign Beckham Jr., that doesn't mean just because we opened his window doesn't mean we have to bring him on the roster.
Right.
We can be like, hey, you know what? He's not ready. He's going
back to IR.
He's going back to IR for the rest of the season because if you do that, he can't come back. But so it's really, I think it's smart. It's just a play to open up your options and your possibilities of what you can do.
I do think it's a smart move. And but we did not get one Mr. Tyron Smith off of. And we heard that last week it was a possibility, and you have to assume this week would have been a possibility. So
I'm hearing next week is when after the Colts game, probably Monday or Tuesday, they're going to open up. Tuesday is when they can. They're going to open up this window, and he can play as early as the Jags game. Now, I don't know if he will, but once you open the window, you don't have to wait that 21 days.
No.
You can play him boom right then and there. So I'm hearing that there's a possibility that Tyron can be back for the Jags game. We'll have to see when he comes back. I was telling Stevie on Tuesday, I really think they're going to try to see where he's at. And they're going to try to see, okay, come back next week. If he's limited, he won't play. I think they're going to want a full week of practice, a full participant, and then they're going to get him on the field. So we'll have to see what his injury status is right when he comes back.
Yeah. I caught talking boys with Kyle and Nosy and Isaiah. Shout out to my fellow Husky. We'll talk a little bit about some of that in a little bit. Yes. But they were talking about who do you test? Who do you put across the line from him as to test to see if Tyron's ready? Which defensive end are you putting there?
Micah.
Well, okay. So someone said Micah, and they were like, but Micah doesn't see Jersey.
No, I agree.
But they thought Tank might have been. I think someone did pick Dorrance. Someone else picked Tank because Tank understands the veteran thing and how far you can push it and everything like that. Someone put him against Tack and just let Beast go at him. But
I still say Micah. And the reason I say Micah is because exactly what you said. Micah doesn't see Jersey. Micah's just going to go 100%. Because when we are in game, that other team's not going to take it easy. Like, oh, he's just returning from injury. Let's take it easy on him.
Right.
So I want to see, maybe you work up to Micah. I don't know, but I want to see him against the best because I want to make sure that, okay, he can play. You know, because I don't want him going out there and being like, oh, well, he rushed against Joe Schmo from Flower Mound and he looked good. Oh, wait, now he's rushing against top NFL rushers and he can't block them. Like, I need to know how he looks,
Right. And it's not his skill set by any means that's being questioned. It's his physical health and if he's capable of doing it in that regard. We touched on Mr. OBJ. Let's talk about where does he actually fit best? Is it the Bills? Is it the Giants? Is it the Cowboys? Scheme-wise, quarterback-wise, what fits him the best?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's really down to the two teams that are legitimate contenders, and I think it's Buffalo and I think it's Dallas.
Yeah.
I think he will have more issues in Buffalo, if I'm being honest, just because of their offense and Josh Allen and the way he plays. I think he really fits in with Dallas's option routes, and their ability to. And I think he's really going to love the way Dak likes to spread the ball around. Dak has never force-fed any receivers. He's always, even though people want him to, we had Amari Cooper and people would scream and pound the table, just force feed it to him. And Dak doesn't play like that. Dak, I need to find the open man, Right. So I do like the reason I like his option routes is because him in this offense with the option routes is because of how savvy Odell is with his route running. He's an elite route runner. He really is. So he knows what route to run and how to get into the open field. And that's something that CeeDee Lamb is still learning.
Right.
So he can teach CeeDee Lamb that as well and help him develop in that area. But I really think that it helps him. And then another thing is with his elite route running, he is really good when the play breaks down. And we know that Dak is really good when the play breaks down and finding that open guy. So that's something that I just think he meshes so well with Dak Prescott and what Dak Prescott wants to do. So I might be biased. I might be just being a Cowboys homer right now. But it just seems like he fits in really, really well with this Cowboys offense, to be honest with you.
Right. And I agree with you as far as the scheme and everything like that. But if you look at the other side, when it comes to, the man's got an ego. And I understand Buffalo has got.
It's been better.
It's been better, but let's not act like he doesn't. We've seen his tweets. We've seen how he's eating the attention. We've seen everything like that.
He loves it.
He's eating this up. And you have to wonder if, I mean, I understand Buffalo's got a great fan base. They're super fun, everything like that. But you also have to, I mean, when you're iconic once you get that star on the side of your helmet. I mean, it's a whole new level of attention that you receive.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, and I do have to say that I really, at first I was hesitant that we were the third team for him to visit because I was like, oh no, is he ever going to make it to us?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think that his manager's got to be smart enough that he wants to listen to all three of the offers before a decision's made. And I love that we're the last offer that's going to be on the table, because then Jerry can kind of poke and prod and find out what's really out, what's already been there, and hopefully do better.
Absolutely. So. There is a thing where Jerry doesn't negotiate contracts as much as he used to. Like, it used to be specifically Jerry. Now he lets Steven handle a lot more, and sometimes he'll step in to close the deal if he has to or something like that, which is a mistake in my opinion, letting Steven do anything with the team. But I think he's going to be involved in this.
Oh, I really do too. I think
and
he's 100%
we all
know
in it. When Jerry gets involved in contract negotiations, he closes the deal. There's very few closers better than Jerry Jones. Very few. Yeah. And so when he gets into that room, I think he's going to be involved. And I don't think if OBJ makes it, and that's the thing, the Bills have to be worried that if OBJ leaves, he's gone, because they got to know that he goes down to Dallas and he sits down with Jerry Jones is going to sweet tongue him, and he's gonna sign him. Right. And that's what he did with La'el Collins. Remember when La'el Collins was a high draft, was a first round pick, but because of the murder investigation that he wasn't involved in, he got totally dropped out and nobody drafted him. Jerry went to his house.
Yep.
Sat down with him, talked to him.
Right.
Sold.
And then didn't he invite him and his mama to the mansion? And
absolutely. Yeah. When Jerry sits down with people, Jerry makes deals happen. That's just his ability. So the Bills have to be very, very worried that and that's why they're saying, oh, we're not letting him leave, because they know if he leaves, he's probably not going to come.
Right.
So OBJ, hopefully, and his agent are smart enough to realize, man, how do you not go to Dallas and at least listen to what Jerry has to say?
Right.
Like, you might be swooned and won over in Buffalo, but you got to at least listen to Jerry Jones, in my opinion.
Exactly.
To answer Spoonie's question, I have it at 85% OBJ is a Dallas Cowboy.
I was hovering between 80 and 85%. So,
I said, I have a small concern that Buffalo just throws the house at him and says, we're giving you everything. We don't want you to go to Dallas. We want you to sign right now. And
is that putting them in danger? I mean, I'm not sure where Stephon is in his contract, but then, you've got Gabe Davis, who's got to be able to renegotiate.
He's got to be getting a big contract too. Yeah.
Right. So, I just, and I don't know exactly what year of contract or deal or anything that they're on at this point.
I think Diggs just re-signed recently, I think.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
But
within the last couple of years. Davis has got to be coming up. Davis has got to be coming up.
Right.
I'm actually I'll check that up. But so that's my small concern, is that they somehow convince him to not even come to Dallas. And, that's that 15% concern. But honestly, it's only 15%, because I think that OBJ and his agent are smart enough to listen to all offers, at least listen to what Jerry has to say. And Davis has one more year after this, so he's coming up too. So
and they just signed Josh Allen to a pretty darn good deal themselves. So. But we know the cap space is a myth, and but they only have $180,000.
They've got to make moves.
Listen, they do. They've got to. They're going to have
to. It's definitely possible. They definitely can make it happen. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they can't. Like, some people will be like, oh, they can't sign them. They don't have money. Like, we all know that the cap is easily manipulated. They can make the space, but they've got to do it. And we'll see, and it depends on what contract he's asking.
Yeah. And honestly, and I know some people have been super worried about this contract that they might have to offer OBJ and everything like that. But if they structure it right, it's going to be fine. We're not going to spend the franchise tag on Dalton Schultz next year, so we got a little money from that that we can use. So I think it'd be done. Right, done.
Yeah.
He can have OBJ can have it.
Look, I'm looking at like I'm honestly offering him like 3 years, like 36 to 40 million, and
Are you going to have a 3rd-year option on that? Is there an out for the 3rd year?
I might even make it a 4-year with the 4th year blank with void space. Just so I can maneuver money around when I want to. But so it's really on contract it's 4 years, but really in reality it's 3.
Right.
Just give us a little wiggle room with the cap space and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I'm willing to offer a lot more money than a lot of people are, just because I believe this team is very, very close. I believe that this team right now, as we stand, has a chance to beat anybody in the NFC.
And has
a chance to compete with the powerhouses of the AFC.
Yes.
Now you give OBJ and you give what OBJ did and look, it's speculation. I can't say he's going to do this, but you give me what OBJ did last year with the Rams. You give me that, and I think they can beat anybody in the NFL.
Right. And I told you earlier in the season that I was not going to drink the Kool-Aid till what I say, at least week 8. We're at week 13, and at TC. But I am starting. There might be a little bit of Kool-Aid in this cup. There might be a little bit of Kool-Aid. We're at week 13.
Yeah.
And I haven't drank the Kool-Aid so far this season, but I'm starting to. There's a little bit in here.
So somebody asked this question, and I'll throw it out to you because I think it's a great question. Are you feeling more comfortable? Man, I can't remember. Maybe it was RJ Ochoa. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm bad at remembering who did what. But are you feeling more comfortable at this point in the season this year, or were you feeling more comfortable at this point in the season last year after Thanksgiving?
This year, because the wheels fell off of the offense, and no matter how much we saw the defense building, we still had that worry about the offense. The defense is that much stronger this year that even if the offense wavers, I know that the defense is going to be there to really get us through a lot of it.
Yeah.
And the offense, now that Dak's back, it's starting to gel more. We're seeing more happening. We're seeing a run game that we did not see. I mean,
yes. We had no run game last year.
Yeah, we had no run game last year, and they still were out there trying to abuse Zeke while he was injured. Where this year we've got an established run game. It's working. They're using both factors of it. So, yeah, I'm feeling 100% more.
So am I. And what? We lost 2 in a row after Thanksgiving. We lost Thanksgiving in horrible fashion in overtime, a game that we should have dominated that game.
Exactly.
That we lost. And I'm feeling so much better. And now looking at the schedule, the next 3 games before we go to Christmas Eve against the Eagles, you have 3 very winnable games. And you could literally be going into Christmas Eve. The Dallas Cowboys should go into the Christmas Eve game against the Philadelphia Eagles at 11-3.
Agree.
100%. They should not be any worse. Because they can beat the Colts, they can beat the Jaguars, and they can beat the Texans.
Right.
100%.
Absolutely.
All 3 very winnable games.
Right.
They should be 11-3.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling a lot better.
So am I. And in which all 3 of them have got really amazing running backs. But because like what we referred to earlier, they've made the changes for this run stop defense that I'm not, had you asked me, against the Bears or, after the Bears game and all that, if I was, my biggest fear was going through that stretch in December, I was like running back, all the way through Derrick Henry with the
Yeah.
Titans, which I'm still worried about that game a little.
That's the game I'm probably the most worried about for the rest of the season.
Right.
Even more than the Eagles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the Titans are coming into their own. There's parts of their offense and defense that are in there. Yes, you're right, Gregory.
Knocking on it.
There we go. But no, it's yeah. I'm now looking at those, even if you are facing Jonathan Taylor, Etienne, David Pierce. I'm like, okay, fine,
feeling a lot better.
cool.
Yeah. And with these teams, each of these teams that we're going to play, we can definitely, with our offense, build up to a lead where like we take the running back out of the equation where we have to throw it.
Right.
And that's got to be the plan. Like get some stops and then get some stops early, score points, get a lead, and let these pass rushers feast. Unleash Odigizua, unleash Micah Parsons, unleash Dorrance Armstrong, unleash Tank. Just unleash these pass rushers because none of those quarterbacks want anything to do with our pass rush.
No, and they should not. They absolutely should not. Okay, so do we want to segue that into the Colts game and then we do our little fun after that, or do you want to switch it around?
We can go into the Colts game.
Okay, because that kind of does bring us into the Colts game.
It does.
That absolutely should be the game plan. That you take Jonathan Taylor out of the game plan, and you have Matt Ryan, who does not want to get hit. Matt Ryan, who wants to release the ball as quickly as he possibly can, and to one receiver only, Pittman. And with our pass rush, it could be a really, really long game for Mr. Ryan and that team.
Here's the thing that I love about this matchup. And I didn't even mention on Tuesday. I mean, I mentioned a little bit that they have not a great offensive line outside of Quentin Nelson, who's not even the Quentin Nelson of old. Now, when I say he's not the Quentin Nelson of old, he's still probably the best left tackle in the league. He was just that much farther ahead of everybody else before.
Yeah.
But he's still good. But outside of that, their offensive line is not good. And against our pass rush, our pass rush should feast on them.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned their one wide receiver, Michael Pittman. I love this matchup because he's their one big threat.
Right.
And the wide receivers that Trayvon Diggs has the most success on, he guards them better than anybody, are the big body possession receivers.
Right.
If they can't burn him with speed, he's not worried about them.
Right.
He locks them up. So their best weapon outside of Jonathan, their best receiving weapon outside of Jonathan Taylor should be locked up by. I don't think Diggs will shadow him, but anytime he's over on Diggs' side, he'll be locked up.
Right.
Now I am a little bit worried about him bodying up Anthony Brown.
Right.
But if whenever he's on Diggs' side, I'm not worried about him at all.
Yeah. And do you think Anthony Brown's hurt? Do you think that's kind of what's going on?
Anthony Brown is getting out physicaled this year, and maybe he's hurt. I don't know. People aren't really. I mean, some people. Christian Watson ran by him, but people usually don't run by him. And
he's fat. He's normally one of our fastest guys on the team.
He's a 4.3 guy. He's got speed. So very few people have ran by him. Christian Watson did. I get that. But the thing is, he's getting out physical at the point of catch. For some reason, he's playing really far off coverage in some games where nobody else is. So it's like, it doesn't look like it was a designed off coverage where he just took himself too far off.
Right.
And he's trying to rely on his speed to catch up. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe he is injured and he's like, hey, I need to play off a little bit farther because I'm a little bit injured and I don't have the speed I normally have. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. But something's going on where he is playing too far off and he is getting out physicaled. And that's my worry with a guy like Michael Pittman, who Michael Pittman is going to out physical you at the point of catch. Right. So that's something is to watch in this game. If they start doing that, I would just let Diggs shadow Pittman, but we'll have to
But
see
then
what happens.
Ryan's also got to be able to release the ball and get it off
That's very true.
to
That's
get
very
it
true.
to him. And
And the thing about it is like when you got a bad O-line like they have, and you have one of the most immobile quarterbacks in the league in Matt Ryan, this pass rush should feast.
Yeah, absolutely. OTC, bless your heart.
Yeah.
Your heart. Yeah, so I mean, we've talked about the offensive side. I mean, you absolutely have to stop Jonathan Taylor. We know what the man's capable of. But the way that our run defense has been, it's not as big a concern. But let's go over to the defensive side. And they, you know what? They're a fairly healthy team overall. I mean, they did just lose Jelani Woods.
Oh, Jelani Woods got hurt?
Well, yeah, he's questionable. And I'm not sure if he may even be out.
That's a big
Jelani Woods is hurt.
He's been inconsistent this year, but he had a really good game last game.
Right.
So that's another weapon for them out. That's interesting if he can't go.
And then Kwity Paye is questionable on this. Once again, guys, we apologize. You know this injury report is going to come out 3 minutes after we're off the air, and you know that's how.
So Kwity Paye has missed the last few games. From what I've heard, I don't think he's going to go.
Okay.
So, and he's one of their better pass rushers.
Right. So then you're also looking at DeForest Buckner.
That guy's a
why
beast.
do they? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. We're gonna keep it real on this one. That man is a monster.
He is a beast.
Right. Stephon Gilmore being out there
he is not what he used to be.
No.
But he's not bad either. He's still a decent cornerback. He will do his best to guard the best receiver. So you're going to see a lot of Stephon Gilmore versus CeeDee Lamb this game.
Mm-hmm.
CeeDee Lamb can beat him, but he can make a play or two. He's still a decent cornerback. They have a good defense. That's their saving grace, is they have a good defense. But then they also have had some really bad defensive performances. Like they let the Steelers put 24. I know 24 is not a lot of points, but it's the Steelers putting 24 on you. I think they had a team score, like the Jaguars scored like almost 40, or maybe they did hit 40 on them or something like that. So they've had really good defense performances, and they've had some really bad defensive performances. So they're kind of up and that it kind of averaged out to being like, hey, their numbers are pretty decent. But we'll have to see. I don't think their defense can stop our offense, but don't be shocked if it's a little bit of a slow start.
Right. Okay. Oh, and their punt returners hurt. Oh, that's where Kute went. Kiki Kute.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
he was at Houston.
Yeah, Houston
I had no idea that he had.
Kiki,
and he was there. He's their punt returner, and he's hurt. So, that could be a little. Not that we're going to have to punt much.
I don't expect us to punt that much.
Let's
Dak on third down is clutch. So
right. Yeah, no, isn't he the best on third down
number
now?
one. We're number one in the league since Dak has returned. We were like 29th in the league. 29th in the league in third down conversions before when Dak was out. We are number one in the league since Dak has come back. Number one. That's a big flip.
Oh.
With one player coming back.
Right. But
because Dak is clutch.
Right. But we have those truthers out there that God bless y'all. I tell you. Okay. We're going to swing to something fun that we don't normally do on the show, guys. And just because it is college football championship week for the conferences.
Mm-hmm.
My team almost
so close.
It's a dumb technicality why my team is not.
The tiebreaker was insane. The tiebreaker was insane.
It's silly. It's silly. And honestly, we probably would have had this segment to talk all the shit because it was going to be my Huskies against Mass's USC Trojans. But
Yes.
sadly,
Fight on.
because of a stupid technicality,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be sitting here waiting in the sidelines, cheering Mass's team on to win, because Mass can go on into the CFB, and my Huskies can go to the Rose Bowl.
Yep, that's the plan. We're going to take it to the playoffs. We're going to take it to the playoffs Friday night. We're going to go to clinch the playoffs, and we're going to clinch a spot in the Rose Bowl for the Washington Huskies. You are welcome.
Perfect plan. Love it. I love it. I love my dogs with some roses.
There you go.
But in all actuality, I do see you guys getting the revenge. I think you guys have evolved more than the Utes.
Utah Utes.
It's such a bad.
Here's the thing. Utah is an extremely we lost by 1 point in Utah.
Right.
And Utah is an extremely difficult place to play. They have only lost like 1 or 2 games in the last like 5 years in Utah. Right. We were leading the whole game. There was I don't like to blame refs. I really don't. There was a few questionable calls on some pass interferences that overturned big plays for the USC defense that allowed them to go down and score more. So there was some question. I think that, we have evolved more. Our defense is playing a lot better than it was earlier in the season.
Right.
And Caleb Williams is playing outside of his mind right now. So
absolutely.
I think USC wins it on a neutral field pretty comfortably.
Yeah. I definitely agree. They're in Vegas. It's levels the playing field with it all. Like you said, the progression that I've seen USC and Caleb Williams do, and he would be the best quarterback in the Pac-12 if you guys were staying next year.
If we were staying,
If you were staying, I'll give you that. But if my guy Michael Penix Jr. stays and doesn't, and this was one thing that I ended up talking to my dad. He was saying that Penix might be an absolute idiot for not going into the NFL draft and taking the guaranteed money right now. But then I had to present to him, with this UIL money, it makes it a little different, that it's not a rush for him to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing a lot of the quarterbacks that are coming up and DeBoer's offense that he has created there in Washington. And those two, Odunze and McMillan, are only sophomores, the wide receivers, that they're tearing up the yardage in the country right now. Yeah. I said, does he stay and up his draft capital? Because I have him as like QB5 right now in the nation. Does he stay and drive up his draft capital and possibly make that run for the Heisman next year?
I think he has the possibility, if he stays, to put his name in the first round. I really do. Mm-hmm. So I think that it would be wise for him to stay, but I can never fault somebody for going to the NFL and saying, I want to get my money. There are some people who I think makes a poor decision, mostly because hey, they're not ready. I don't think Penix falls into that. I think Penix could be fine going to the NFL, but I think, hey man, you can improve your draft status and make a lot more money by staying one more year.
Yeah. And like I said, I think a lot of it, I want to say the offensive line is only losing 2 players, one in Jackson Kirkland, and I think there's one other, but my biggest thing is that his wide receivers, and those 2 are phenomenal. And you guys, when those 2 enter the draft, I will be screaming Odunze and McMillan, because those 2 are fire.
Absolutely. I'm screaming this year. I've said it. I've been pounding my table, and I will continue to pound my table with the 32nd pick. Hopefully he's there. I don't know if he will, but with the 32nd pick, I want the Cowboys to draft Jordan Addison. So we'll see. We'll see if he even comes out, because he did miss some time this year. Maybe he's saying, hey, I want to go and try to up my draft status even more with another year. We'll see what he did. But if he comes out, I'm going to be pounding the table for Jordan Addison, because I love that guy.
Right. Let's shift to the other conferences, just because we got a little bit of time.
Yeah, let's do it.
TCU.
I think
Kansas State.
I think Kansas State's going to upset them. I think they're going to upset their bid for college football playoffs, and it's going to leave the door open for and it's going to cause so much chaos.
It's going to cause havoc.
It's going to cause havoc because
it's going to cause havoc.
Now you're going to have that giant, huge question: Ohio State and the Alabama fans. Even though I think this should be Ohio.
No,
State
I don't think Bama. I don't think Bama should be.
But here's the thing: I don't either. But it's all over the news right now. People are saying that the committee has considered putting Alabama above Ohio State. Now, I think it's stupid. I think it's a terrible decision, but that will be the chaos. Does SEC bias rule the day and Alabama slips back in?
Right. And I'm glad that LSU got proven not to be. I mean, there was when people were saying, "Oh, LSU could sneak in there," I was like, "Come on, stop. Let's stop. Let's stop. We're not going to do this." Had TCU not, I mean, is there a chance that, TC loses? Are they out? Are they gone?
I think so.
Okay.
I do.
And I'm going to say number one, because of the weakness of the Big 12.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we failed to talk about with the Pac-12.
How they have the most ranked teams.
Yes. We used to keep, Pac-12 after dark. This is boring, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. You guys are a weak conference.
Most ranked teams out of every conference.
How's the tables have turned?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good conference, and people just don't. And you know what? I'm proud of the Pac-12 because this year they did this with all the controversy of them when the season started about will they even be a conference? Are they going to fold because of UCLA and USC leaving to the Big Ten? Other teams started getting other conferences started talking to the Pac-12 about poaching more teams, and there was a big conversation: will the Pac-12 even exist? Right. And look, they've put their money where their mouth is. Yes, 2 of the ranked teams are USC and UCLA who are leaving, but still, there's 4 other ranked teams. So, got to give the Pac-12 some credit.
Right. Absolutely. Do we even make a prediction on Georgia LSU?
It's Georgia. Yeah. I mean, if LSU wins, it will cause crazy chaos. But it's definitely Georgia, I think.
All right. So your 4 that you think are going to make it?
Oh, I think it's going to be Georgia. It will be Michigan. So rank 1 is Georgia. Rank 2 is Michigan. 3 is USC, and 4 is Ohio State. I think Ohio State squeezes in because of TCU's loss.
Yeah, I'm with you on the same. 100%. So, all right, are you ready for some bold predictions and score prediction?
I'm ready.
All right, let's have
it. So bold prediction. Let me go with a bold prediction. I'm going to say Dak Prescott has his first 300-yard game of the season, and he will have 4 touchdown passes. So that will be my bold prediction. 300 yards for Dak and 4 touchdown passes. And then my prediction for the game, I'm trying to remember what I said. I said 34-13 Cowboys.
Okay.
34-13.
Okay. Remember last week when I talked about the 9 sacks?
Mm-hmm.
I meant it this week.
There we go.
I meant it this week. So we're going to click off those 9. And you know what? A big shout out to Tank for, in the sounds of the sidelines. And he told Micah, I'm going to do this. This is when you're going to go in and get yours. And he made sure Micah got his. And that's a huge leadership thing to me. And you've got to believe that, because I know at one point in time, people were trying to say that Micah is the leader of that locker room of the defense. I've got to believe in my heart, it's still Tank in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely.
So 9. We're going with it. I meant it this week. And my score prediction, I'm going, honestly, 31-9.
31-9. I like
They
it.
don't. They're not even going to get
No
a TD.
touchdowns, just field goals. I love it.
No, because honestly, this pass rush against
No, I can
Matt
see
Ryan.
that.
I mean, and the man lives in fear of being hit, and and the quickness he wants to get that ball off. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening. So
No, I like it.
Yeah, but.
And what's your score? You
31,
said 9. You throw 31-9. 31-9.
31-9. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And hey, did we give away a T-shirt yet?
Okay, I was just about to mention that.
All right.
Because we've been trying to give away this T-shirt. Nobody wants to predict the score right. So after the game, I said, "Hey, you know what? We're going to give it to the closest person." So I said, "You know what? Here we go. Here's the closest person, and here's the winner. DM me for details." Nothing. Nada. Never responded. I tagged him, everything like that. Mentioned him. Hey, DM me. I can't DM him because he has his DMs blocked. So nobody wants this T-shirt. So again, we're going to go back to it, but we're going to change it. And we're going to do, like I said, I'm going to put out the post. You're going to please put out your score prediction, retweet it so more people can see it. The person with the closest, you no longer have to.
Somebody's getting this shirt.
The dot. The person with the closest prediction will get a free T-shirt from Twisted Gorilla if there is more than one person who has the same distance. So say the score is 31-9, like Cam said. If you are 3 off in either direction, and that's the closest. So if you're 3 off, it's 31-6, or something like that. You're the closest person. Either way, you get it. If there's more than one person, we will select somebody at random between the people who all got it, and then that person will get it. But you got to respond to me. If I tweet at you and say, "Hey, you won," DM me for details. DM me for details, please.
Right.
So there we go. We'll go with that. And somebody hopefully is going to claim a T-shirt this week.
Right. We've been waiting 13 weeks. 13 weeks, 14 with the bye, if you want to count that. So, all right, guys. Well, once again, thanks for hanging with us this week. And, always like, subscribe, tell your friends.
Hit that little bell so you know when we go live.
Right. The Freestyle Friday will be happening tomorrow night. That Nick's is going to have 17 spaces between now and the game and after the game, and whatever marathon. You all can take a nap, wake back up, and then get back into one of his spaces. The man just kills it on it, doing great work. Then you can catch me and Stevie J on Tuesday. We'll have our due diligence, and then get right back here on Thursday to hang out with Mass and I for lunch again.
Right. Absolutely.
So, well, thank you, everybody. Go Cowboys.
Have a good one. Fight on.
Yes, fight on.
Just for Friday. Help me fight on.